anything. You're just going to be naughty, aren't you, through the whole thing?
We hope people complain. Yeah, I want to speak to HR, and they're okay, and pass it over to Jess. And then this is HR. So I speak to manager. Okay, there you go. Hello, it's Lindy.
We'll just put you on loudspeaker because that is all of us.
This
It's going to go wring.
This reminds me of this when we did a little podcast, I think, with
John Bird and I,
at the services.
Yeah, we ruined the whole thing. It was great.
I didn't. I was well behaved.
I know. I ruined the whole thing. I'm going to ruin my own podcast. How's that for irony? Right, come on. Okay. This is really serious. Serious footage. People. Okay, right. Try again. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, this time. To the Art of Feeling Better, my podcast that we're going to behave ourselves fully and have a really proper adult conversation around some really impactful topics, because that's how we roll. Cool. Yeah, that's not going to happen at all, but it's fine. So I really wanted to get you guys together at the very beginning, but I thought that was the worst idea to launch this podcast because then nobody else would watch because they would think we're all insane. However, because this one's being scheduled for a little further down the line, we've got some really important conversations and lots of topics that are covered with loads of different kinds of people. And for me, it's all leading towards the fact that we have to challenge perceptions and stereotypes, and we have to find new ways of working. So like you're the baby, you're the newbie. Relative, when you're not, you've been here for years, but not as many eons as this one has.
No, this old bird. This old
bird over here.
Coming up to a decade.
I know. Oh God, I know. So, but that's kind of my first question, because you're still here.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Why? I don't think the podcast has got enough time for that.
But you know what I mean? You're still here because there's something keeping you here and drawing you here, even though there's a lot of challenges and it's sometimes really difficult. I think you got it at the beginning. When I first put TribeFest together, you kind of knew what I was trying to do. And I'm assuming, it's a wild assumption, that that's the thread that's kept you hanging on in there.
I think so, yeah. I think the first the first AFF at Serco, I remember coming home and being like, that's really different. Because I think my shop at the time, obviously the dress shop, I didn't really do dress sizes. It was about sort of kind of challenging that whole sort of narrative around a specific model.
Yeah.
So I did like that. I liked the fact that it challenged the norm and that it was about being a little bit different, and kind of mixing things together and kind of mixing people together as well. It was like kind of breaking out of the very set sort of hetero, and the very fixed boxes, and I liked that.
Yeah, it's getting out of those binaries, isn't it? It's getting out, and it's allowing people to be people.
Yeah. Which,
as you know now you know more about kind of my spiritual journey and the whole undercurrent that led me to do all that. In stealth mode, I was kind of using the skills that I had and the background I had in industry and trying to push boundaries and trying to push that a little bit. Even though I presented the way I present, I liked that because I wanted to be able to get into those corporate spaces, and I know you're the same. It's like, hey, here I am, what are you going to do with that? Because it helps the conversation, doesn't it? It helps move things and shift things, especially as women. So that was definitely why I started to do what I did. But then it kind of snowballed, didn't it? Because we realised that the conversations that were kind of bugging me around people being dicks to each other all of the time in every space, and everybody's suffering, everybody's struggling, and everyone kind of jostling and fighting for power and energy and money and things. It's become a much wider thing now, because we realised that everybody was feeling the same way. It wasn't just me having a bit of a moment. It's like, oh, there's a real thing here. There's a real undercurrent across every demographic, every family, every community, that people all kind of feel the same but don't know what to do about it. So that kind of led us to where we're at now. So the original show, AFF, is Alt Fashion Fest. You can look it up on YouTube. That really was the starting point of me getting completely out of my industry, and really you kind of shifting from where you were as well, into a different space. But we had no idea what it looked like, where it was going to be, or that we were going to find this one and that one over there that I'm speaking to later. So we kind of thought, no, it has to be made into something more. We have to get some funding, which a decade later, we're still trying to do that, folks. So that's why we set up the CIC. So yeah, this is great. We'll just set up. We know there's a need for it now. We know that it's not just us being pissy and wanting to shout about things. It's a real need. Let's set up a social enterprise. Let's set up a CIC. And everybody will just give us money. Everybody will fund it because it's so needed, and everybody knows it because everybody talks about it, and everybody talks to us and says, this is great, do it. Come to schools, do this. So we thought, well, no brainer. We'll just, everybody will throw money at us. Yeah, that didn't happen. So we're here like nearly a decade later now, trying to fit into a model and trying to find out how that works. So this particular episode is literally just a chat between us around what the hell happened, what's happened over the last few years and where we're at now, because I'm trying to lead, as the episodes go on, from very corporate spaces through education, through health, through all of these different spaces that we're asked to work in, predominantly unfunded. And we know how to create change, don't we? We know how to do it, and we've got proof, and we've tried and tested, but people are still so stuck in that space of old methods, and they're trying to conform, that flock response, that even though they want change, they won't move to it. So that's where we're at now. So I'm going to ask you first of all, Lindy, just to talk about why it's important to you, and kind of as much as you want to share about why you're still driving forward with this need to change and support change. And then I'm going to ask you a similar question, like, why are you still here? Is it for the shits and giggles? Or is it because you can see what we're doing? Top class banter. Yeah, well, we do have fun. And we just hang out in the woods, so yeah, what's not to love about that? But just yeah, what is it for you? What is the biggie for you around the work that we're doing now and how things have evolved?
I think going through all of the different areas that we work in, and obviously like as a side hustle, I work in schools and stuff as well. So I think the problem for me is setting norms means that people get left out. It means that there's always someone on the margin. Having a parameter around things, and obviously sometimes parameters are needed, and especially when you know the more people you're dealing with, it gets harder. But I think sort of having a model or a set of standards or a set of expectations on anyone means that people get left out, and the mental health will always suffer from that. And so I think and whatever you look at, whether it's corporate, academic, schools, any industry, you're going to find that as a perimeter. There's, I remember working in the bank, and it's like, you haven't hit these expectations, and dragged into the office to discuss why. It's like, because your working conditions are shite, and I'm not inspired to input the numbers in a specific way. Or, I remember getting dragged in as well in the bank because I'd gone overdrawn, and they wanted to talk about how I was a risk to the customers. And so I was like, what?
Not how can we support you?
Yeah, and it was always about, like, I always feel as well that whenever you set a set of norms or expectations, it's never about, it's you're doing something wrong if you're not in it.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's sort of wherever you look, that's a problem. And so being creative around it, which is what we do really well, of thinking outside the box, and sort of critically analysing it, not in a critical way, but in like a critique way, about how you can problem solve, is sort of my interest personally, because I like to kind of, I like tricky puzzles.
And you're really good at that as well, aren't you? And like having the creative and the analytical brain, which is great, which is brilliant, because it's what we need, isn't it? And it's holding that line, that space between critical and trying to support people, which is my bag, in staying out of that sympathetic nervous system response, where as soon as there's a slight bit of question, which we need to question, it's you feel it as a criticism, and then you back off, whereas we need to like investigate, don't we, and find things. And that's because society is like exactly what you've said. You're pigeonholed, and if you're not normal, there's something wrong with you. So no one knows what their identity is, really, I don't think. I mean, people are starting to discover now, but you're kind of like, well, what's it meant to be? What do you want it to be? What's safe for me to fit into? Rather than complete exploration and finding yourself, your roots, and anchoring yourself into that like authentic space. And then the people and the spaces and the things you need should orient around it. But we've gone so far off that it doesn't happen anymore. People are just damaged and harmed, aren't they?
I think my personal belief is that society's got too big. Communities are too big, and it's really difficult to manage, and you kind of really need to script back. I think Judith Butler talks about like sort of gender identity being like a script. As soon as you're born, you're given a script. This is how you're supposed to behave and everything. And it's like you say, it's like people are never given the freedom to explore what their norm is. It's like, this is the societal norm, and if you don't fit that, you're wrong, or you're not you have no value to society.
Yeah, and you'll be shunned, and it's a safety thing, isn't it? And you can't even think about exploring anything else, even if it feels better, because you know it's not safe and your attachments are at risk, and so you have to do that. And that's why schools, that's the conversation we had around education, is exactly that it doesn't work for a lot of people, but there's no way you can challenge it because you're the problem at that point.
Fantastic scholar by the name of her name's just Federici. I can't remember her first name now. It's gone in my head, but she talks about how school systems and societal roles have kind of been created in a way that just kind of wasn't about serving people, it was about serving establishment. And she does Silvia Federici, an Italian scholar, and so she's really good at sort of challenging that bit of research for you.
Yeah, and I think that's what we do, and I think that's the essence of what we do, and we try and make it non-threatening and non-confrontational, because I used to do it in a very confrontational way, thinking that you could just chain yourself to a railing and then the government would decide to change their mind. But we do that really well, I think, in that we just explore those options, and we create safety in a very creative way. And it seems to other people that we're just hanging out in the woods, just not doing anything much, but it takes a lot of effort. It's really hard to create safety so that people can feel held and have that time and space to explore and understand that it should be about people and not establishments. And it can be about people and not establishments. And we have to kind of grow that kind of movement in a safe way. And that's the whole point of this podcast. It's the whole point of what we do with Art and Soul Tribe. But we have to do it through stealth, which makes me sad because we shouldn't, but we know why. We have to do it through stealth because it challenges a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's very challenging. So
I think we've had this conversation before as well, where it's because everyone always goes on like, oh, the system's broken, the system's broken. The system isn't broken. No. The system works exactly how it's supposed to. It just doesn't serve
the
most
majority
people, or especially those that fall outside that norm or their margins. And I think this is where your creative pushes come in.
Pushes, I love that. Nudges. Sometimes big shoves.
Yeah, a boot
up the ass, which is what we're getting closer to, because I'm really excited about the stuff that's shifting. You'll be able to see it, and from what we've been through, we've had some really difficult. Past 18 months has been really tough, but we've talked about this a lot, don't we? It's given us this like rebirth. We've been stuck at 9.5 centimeters for a while now, and it's been very painful. But it's opened up new stuff, hasn't it?
Did you say gross?
Sorry, not sorry. It's education for you. It's fine. But we've been in this real pinch point for a long time, and it was so easy to give up at multiple occasions, and a lot of people are experiencing similar things that I work with in their own areas. But it's like, just hang in there, hold the line, hold your nerve, because things are shifting. And the fact that I'm kind of moving into spaces where I can lead a conversation with academics, and I can be part of these spaces that normally would be, and historically over the years has been, the token, right, let's get her in, she's female, she's got pink hair, like, or red hair or whatever, she's got tattoos, that's the tick box. And all of the naughty kids, or all of the people that fit outside of the norm, it'll pacify them because there's somebody that they might relate to. And I'm like, cool, I'll take that for now, because I can use that as a vehicle to build and to try and then get a bit more credibility and fight against that stereotype. And it's taken a long time to do, but I think things are moving a bit. And I said to someone last week, it makes me sad, because I don't think it's through choice. I think it's because society has come to a point where there is no more choice, no more options. No. So decision makers and establishments and people that have to create change are going, oh, let's go over there. And we're going, yo, still here, still here. Welcome back. This is what we've been saying for such a long time. So yeah, this is the whole reason of setting up the organisation, of setting up this podcast, of doing all my Mojo stuff. It's all those nudges, but safe and engaging, and trying to be non-confrontational, but pushing the boundary a little bit and getting people to have these conversations, which is it's quite a delicate balance, because sometimes I just want to go with the flamethrower. Sometimes I don't, but it's always an option. But it has to happen, change has to happen, and there's other amazing people doing great things. So I think if we just keep connecting, which is what we're trying to do, is connect people together and support that change and support people. We want us all to win. We don't want to compete, because why are we?
Sadly, there's no need to compete.
There's no need. There's too much need. Yeah, there's enough messed up, traumatized, unhappy people out there for everybody to go round. So we don't need to compete. We just need to be able to join the dots and communicate. But everyone's in that space where they're like, no, because my livelihood depends on this. This is my thing. I don't want anybody else doing it, because it threatens me. And you can understand the psychology behind it, but it's not serving anyone. So we need to try and help that process. So Jessica, hi. I'm going to come on to ask you now about your letter of resignation that you put in.
I shouldn't be doing this. I don't work here anymore.
We haven't tied her down or anything. No, she's fine. But that is brilliant, because my question was going to be around, you kind of came, we've had some really good adventures over the time that we've started to do things together, like a decade, and we've had some pretty good adventures over the last couple of years. But the last couple of years, we've had more tricky challenges than adventures. But yet you're like, yeah, I'm still here. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, like similar sort of lines to Lindy, where it's sort of like the systems that are there to help people. I've always felt that it's very much, I'm going to fix you, here you go, off you go, you're fixed now. Whereas it just doesn't work. And then if you're not fixed by those particular systems, the healthcare systems, education systems, if you don't fit into that, then you're the problem, you're wrong. And then there's nothing else really. And I personally don't think that it should be seen as such a radical thing that we listen to people and then give them what they need. Like, I've always really struggled with how people are so kind of amazed by that. I know that makes it sound like a dick, but I'm sort of like, well, why wouldn't
That's a really good point.
And I feel like I honestly couldn't see myself working in any other way, because it would just feel wrong and icky, and I'd feel part of the problem rather than part of the solution.
I think eating the Danishes in the woods helps that, though.
Sitting around a fire.
I mean, like this being my office,
dressing up
helps.
Well, yeah, because I think if we were doing the work we're doing, but if we were in a clinical setting or an educational setting,
it just doesn't work for people.
Even doing this work, that would be hard in those spaces, because I've done that before lockdown. I was in schools more often than not, and that was really hard because of the environment. So I guess even though we're doing challenging hard work and it's really frustrating, banging our heads again, like exactly what you said, why are we not doing it this way? Just listen.
I find this in the schools at
least we're here doing it.
Where I do what I do here, try and do it in the schools, and it's like it's met with such resistance because the kids aren't in the right space for it. They're in that immediate, like,
such a triggering environment.
It is. But neither are the teachers, and I find that a lot, especially like with health as well, social care, health, local authority stuff, anything to do with the system. There's so many amazing people. I don't think anybody really, until you get high up, is in it for bad reasons. They get stuck in it, and everyone's trying their best, but they cannot see. And again, it's brain science. They have got these blinkers on, and they cannot see any other way, and they'll keep banging their head against this brick wall and doing the same thing over again that doesn't work, and praying for a different result.
There's such rigid systems and protocols.
Yeah,
and just
in the bureaucracy.
Like 1% of people fit into that and will benefit from that.
Yeah,
and
the
the
people
99% that don't are kind of
left.
It's regurgitating textbooks as well, isn't it? They're basing a lot of it on research that's not valid anymore. Not even that it ever was, but it's kind of it's based on academic research done by people who are wanting to support that system. Yeah,
and I've had a few, as you know, lately. If there's a few, obviously, if I get challenged, it's usually from someone who has a piece of paper that says they're more intelligent than I am. Okay, that's fair. However, I'm going to challenge that, or I'm going to move away from that space, because that doesn't, we move on, things change, and there are so many things that disprove, let's talk physics for a second. Go into classrooms and you look at what people are learning about physics. Half the shit's been completely disproven because we only know what we know at the time, and we don't know shit. So then we go on and we push this out, and then new stuff comes out, and it's 20 years before it even sees a classroom. So I'm like, I hear you, and I trump you with this piece of knowledge that, it's not all about how much we can glean out of textbooks and then regurgitate in a test setting and get a piece of paper to wave around. It's about wisdom and sharing experiences, and that's why I love temperature mapping. I love working with Anthony, because he's got so many people all over the world with rich experience that aren't really ego-based. They're just the same as us. Like, no, let's share this and let's discuss it and let's just see how it fits. So I love that way of working. It's really hard here where we are, and in smaller towns and cities, because everyone's stuck in this past weird space. And when we can see it, do you find this? You can see it, you're like, oh my god, this is just so messed up, but you're in it and you can't get out of it. And you try and tell people, and they're like, no dear, this is the way we do things. Like, why? I can't tell you that, but this is how it's done.
It's
okay.
It's the lack of questioning of stuff as well. Like, people don't want to be the troublemaker. They don't want to be...
I do.
You do.
I love it. I don't actually. It's really stressful, but that's what I'm there for. So I just embrace it.
It's a good thing.
Embrace it. And your background is psychology, so that was what you studied at university. So you've got that added sort of bit of knowledge around human behaviour and brains and how things work. So that must be super frustrating, because you've got that knowledge that you learned while you were at uni, and then the practical application of it in society and in the groups that they're working with. And I wonder whether you can see things that don't actually match with what you learned.
Yeah, sort of, because like you sort of talking about how kind of research, especially around neuroplasticity and our brains work, advances so quickly. There was stuff, so when I was in uni 5 years ago, like what I learned was tip of the iceberg, stuff was just coming out. And I look at it now and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much that I wasn't taught at uni.
It's so fast,
handful
isn't
of
it?
years ago. Yeah, it happened so quickly. That's, you say, it becomes outdated and you have to keep learning.
And you learned that at uni, so you chose to specialise in that. But this stuff should be in schools. It should. Everyone should have this knowledge about how their own brains and bodies work. It fascinates me. Well, it doesn't fascinate me because I know exactly why it's not in schools.
Yeah.
However, it should be, because people need to understand themselves, and it should be an ongoing process, isn't it? And we should be exploring together and learning how to learn. And it's just, it's very, very messed up. So we're not going to go on for too much longer, because I think we can do a little series, and maybe we'll do little episodes as and when things come up, and we can just update topics and things that we're doing, and maybe get some of the communities that we work with involved and do a few more episodes. But just wanted to kind of round this up with just asking you guys around Art and Soul Tribe, because this podcast is specifically around everything. But Art and Soul Tribe for me is just like my absolute baby, my passion. But you guys are really running with it now and taking the lead with it. So can you have a little quick whistle-stop tour of some of the things that we're really focusing on, some of the groups and the concepts and the ideas, and obviously TribeFest? Just tell us what's happening for the lovely audience.
If you take Art and Soul, I'll take TribeFest.
Yeah. So I think what underpins Art and Soul is kind of not trying to fix people. People don't need to be fixed. It's giving them the tools to kind of be happier, be healthier, kind of live more purposeful lives, whatever that looks like for them. So we have an amazing youth tribe, youth provision, that really helps young people, because the education system really isn't fit for purpose. Young people are really kind of traumatized and triggered in those environments. So like, yeah, we get kids out in the woods, we chill in the woods, we educate them outside the classrooms. My mind's just gone blank.
Yeah, well, especially with Youth Tribe, it's things like some of the stuff. I mean, I've not been around Youth Tribe for a little while because I've been busy beavering away on this kind of stuff. But just getting these conversations that they can never have in a classroom, the rich conversations and the topics and the shared knowledge is just incredible. And that's how I think we should learn, isn't it? But it's the environment, like you say, that's changed. So I love it. I love the fact that that's potential, but we need to scale up, don't we? And that takes funding. So it's a bit of a mission to get that into a workable model that we can then support other communities and grow it a bit bigger. Men's
mental health. Yeah, so especially with men, there's a stigma anyway with mental health and seeking support. And I feel like men in particular have those added barriers of that toxic masculinity of, oh no, boys don't cry, kind of man up. So yeah, we run men's groups to sort of help that. And again, those aren't kind of, we try to step away from this is a mental health group, you're going to sit in a circle and you're going to share your feelings. We kind of step away from that. We kind of look more at skill building, at purposeful activity, at building social connection, because I feel like those really underpin self-esteem, self-growth, lifelong learning. And yeah, giving people purpose, because I feel like that's a really essential thing.
And that rolls out, doesn't it? That rolls out into families, into the community, into economy, into employment. So all these things all these boxes that are being ticked over there with masses of funding being wasted, it's like you can do it in a very holistic way, and you can make it person-centred and trauma-informed and neuro-aware, and you can do it in a very different way. We're still trying to break through that barrier, because there's still a lot of work that's going on in the original traditional sense that we know doesn't work, and there's evidence to show it doesn't work. There are other ways, and if we can keep building that and growing it, then I think that will kind of spread, won't it? And we'll be able to share that with other places. And this space here, so at Halton Castle Wood, we're working closely with Vanessa, and we're partnering up, aren't we? So we've got some space to develop. So that's the next thing, is to work with the men's group to be able to actually co-create it properly, rather than these conversations we've had lately around a lot of the time it's around, look what we've created, look at this shiny thing, come and sit in it, or come and let us get a picture for the press, and that kind of stuff feels really toxic. And we've done that before in the past because it's the only way we knew how. But moving into a space where we think, actually, we don't want to build things for people and expect them to come and validate it. We want the people to decide what they want, to co-create it, to plan it, to learn the skills, and to totally co-create and do it with us, because then you've got that sense of ownership, that sense of purpose, and we're kind of all doing it together. for a common goal. And
it's even a legacy as well, isn't it? So like people can come and get involved in something that's going to sustain the next community.
Yeah, it is a legacy, and that's it's so powerful for everybody, isn't it? It really is. And I remember speaking about men's mental health when we did the Veterans Project that we did a few years ago, and one of the biggest things that came out was having a purpose once people have left the army, and this goes for women as well as men. Going from a space where you know your identity, you know your task, you know your community, and you have a specific purpose to nothing, that was the hardest thing for a lot of people. So having that sense of purpose is massive for well-being. Coffee mornings as well, wellness walks, things like that, still going along with those.
Just a lot of time in nature, because nature's super healing and nice.
Yes.
We have some volunteer time as well for people to come here and do some work in nature where they can come and give a little bit of their energy, but a lot of benefits. You know, you get to play in the woods.
Well, you fuel up, don't you? I think if we if we can calibrate things the right way, and I'm already doing. In fact, by the time this goes out, some of my spiritual stuff will have gone out, so I'm fully like out there now. It's all out there, all my journey and everything that I'm all about. So it won't be a surprise. But in terms of energy, it's about trying to create spaces where we can all calibrate together, and there's no jostling for position. There's no people that are taking energy and giving too much, and that works really well, because you might give your energy to volunteer some time to do something. But if it's done the right way, if it's supported and held the right way, you receive, it's like you had your tank fueled up. So you might have gone and done something really active, but you feel so energized afterwards. That's what we want to create, those kind of spaces. So speaking of those kind of spaces, TribeFest. Tell me about TribeFest. When is it? What's happening? What we're doing? It's so exciting.
This year's is 21st and 22nd of September, right here in Halcombe Castle Woods. So obviously, as an organisation, we've got 10 years of event planning and experience, from festivals to weddings,
everything.
So much. You know, we've put on events at Alexandra Palace. You know, we've sold out venues up and down the country. Obviously, we both have personal experience in event planning as well.
Before that,
and with my side hustle of being a performer, I have a crazy cohort of circus people, quite literally.
We have a whole circus to come with us.
And musicians and stuff like that as well. So over the years, we've gathered this amazing eclectic group of incredible performers that work in the community with us. So TribeFest is all about bringing community together. It's about families, people of all ages, every generation, coming in and having a good time, having some therapy and music, exploring some of the workshops we've got going on as well. So we have 2 music stages. We have a family space, which will have some circus workshops and performances going on, as well as some creative activities, which is all included with the ticket price. Face painting, again, included in the ticket price. We have time to come out in the nature, do some forest school. We have we have singing workshops. So we have a fantastic woman coming from New Zealand who's going to do. She'll come from New Zealand. She's here. She's from New Zealand. You know,
long trek.
Our budget doesn't stretch to a New Zealand flight. But she's going to bring some. She's doing a singing workshop with some Maori influences.
Lovely.
It's not a whole Maori workshop because culturally that's not appropriate, but it's going to have some of them vibes in it, so people can come and have some of that as well. There's going to be some hula hoop workshops. What other workshops have we got? I can remember.
Poetry,
We've got some poetry, songwriting. There'll be 2 stages on the go all day that will kind of overlap each other. So we have what was the main stage last year is now going to be the acoustic stage, so a credible acoustic stage.
Beautiful.
For this year, and a brand new spanking stage on the new main stage field, which is flush to the disabled parking. So anyone who needs access issues, they literally car park straight onto the main field, right in front of the stage. And the disabled toilet will be right there as well. So in terms of access, people for the main stage, it's perfect. We have several fire circles. So this space here will have some forest school on the go. For a bit in the afternoon, and then we'll have a men's space here as well. So Sandpit Analysts and Man to Man will be back with us doing a little bit of holding space for men to come and have a little drop in. That was really, really popular last year.
Yeah, it was.
So a lot of the guys that came, dropped in, actually carried on engaging with some of these groups as well. So feedback from that was it was really good to kind of find out what's available in the community as well. So as much as it's a good family festival with music and lots of things to do, there's an awful lot of community benefits, finding out what's in the area to support you, and a little bit of a flavour of what's going on in our groups as well. So on the stage will be people that we work with in the community.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've got some of the Rockworks Academy who we work with loads. Tanya and the team are incredible. So their guys are going to be on the stage, and we're going to show some incredible young people with various abilities and incredible talents.
Amazing talent, yeah, really amazing.
Jesus, they blew me away last year. And it's really about sort of giving people the opportunity to build their self-esteem on and off the stage, and have that community focus. There's also a huge volunteer team, which we're taking applications for now if you want to get involved. So people can come and volunteer, like you said, it's about fueling up, and you know, you get access to a festival for free as well.
Yeah, who doesn't want that? It's a winner.
And obviously we'll have all the food vendors and a picnic area if you want to bring your own sandwiches. Doggies, and some shop events as well. Have a little shop while you're here.
It's just an all-rounder, isn't it? There's a bit of everything for everyone, and you can camp in the space. It's just beautiful space. So I'm going to drop the links for all that, the ticket links, in the comments anyway on this video, so you'll be able to get access to that. And you can just check out our socials as well and see what we're doing, because we've got new stuff to launch as well. So lots of top secret at the moment, but by the time this is out, it probably will coincide with the launch. Around our new website, new platform and things, ways for you to get involved, ways for you to support, but also get some of this good stuff digitally. So we'll have all that ready for you. So I'll pop all the links in there as well. So thank you, girlies. Thank you for sticking with it as well. Thank you for being amazing. All the work you do, it is really...
It's emotional blackmail, really.
Yeah, it is.
She's holding us to ransom. Please contact my family.
You wait. When this goes on YouTube, there'll be so many comments. Well, I don't care actually. If it gets
I should hope so. I'm struggling.
If it gets us visibility, I don't care. Let's use it. Let's use a ransom note. Oh, we could do so much with this. Ransom note.
We might actually get some money.
We might get some money. That's it. That's our fundraising strategy.
We're
just going to hold you to ransom.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to carry on with our planning because we've got loads to do for TribeFest to make it amazing. So yeah, watch this space and we'll do some more chats as and when we think about it.
I wouldn't pay a ransom.
This is the kind of conversations that we have in meetings. So that will
My
now
family
be.
are poor, though. How much would they get for you?
Do you know what? No. Do you know what would happen? You know who would be paying the ransom, don't you?
You.
It would be me.
Yeah.
Damn, spoiled.
Jane's house would be up for sale. Sorry, I've got to get the girls out of the company somehow.
Ruined my own funding strategy. Never mind, that's okay. Somebody out there with millions of pounds might watch this and feel sorry for these.
You should feel sorry for us. I feel sorry for us.
We are like the real life Powerpuff Girls. It's great. Before we go, my gosh, I nearly forgot because I want to speak to these two women over here. I have quick questions that I'm asking everybody before the battery on this goes. One of them, you kind of already answered the big thing, like how do we change the world? And I think we all agree it's by doing the work we're doing, carrying on with it and just trying to roll it out and trying to raise awareness and build skills and help other communities do the same kind of thing. I want you both to tell me one little tip that people can do. And this is a serious one, so no arsing about now, right? What can people do to feel better? Because the podcast is called The Art of Feeling Better. So is there anything that you do in your daily practice? Just not screaming into a pillow, because I know that's what you're going to say. What can we do to share some tips on a daily basis, just to feel a bit better?
I think mine, and this kind of transcends whether I'm thinking about academic stuff, work stuff, training, hobbies. What's my why?
Oh, why? It's okay.
Thinking about my why.
Yep.
And then if something's not aligning, if it doesn't align with my why am I doing it?
Brilliant.
And kind of learning to, and that for me has been a really good one with my boundaries.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yep.
Why is this a thing?
Yep,
just
same.
use why. Be an annoying toddler.
Yeah.
Question it all. And then if it's not aligning for you, if it doesn't fit your why,
don't do it. Yeah, just don't do it. That's a really good one, really good one. Jess, anything from you?
For me, it's journaling. I think it's something I really resist and I never want to do it. But then after I do it, I'm like, oh my God, things aren't that complicated. I've just been massively overthinking things. And I think it's very different. Like, I know, shock horror. Instead of like ruminating over and over and over, to write it down, get it out, get it kind of into the physical.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's so different.
She's literally turned
isn't
up
it?
our house
It's cathartic.
spiraling yesterday going, I wasn't officially invited.
Yeah, because I can't journal while I drive.
Well, you need to do that on part. Just set up like a recorder. You could just write journal entry for 2 p.m.
I would like to.
I am overthinking something.
I think that'd be a great
It'd
podcast.
be horrific.
Yeah, we just do Jess's
Jess's
podcast.
journals.
Jess's journals. No, nobody wants to see those apart from Jess.
I wouldn't.
But yeah, it's good. It's just get it out there, and you can look back on them, or you
It's
can
super
burn them, or you can
therapeutic.
show
It seems
people.
really boring and basic,
No.
but it's so powerful, I think.
Oh, I do
so
so
simple,
much.
so powerful.
Yeah. Well, one day I will show you the ramblings of a madwoman, because I have stacks of journals where everything goes, and you read it back and you're like, what was
Yeah,
that?
that's the thing. You can like see your growth over the months.
If
and years,
I
and
hand
then,
these down
holy
to my
shit, yeah.
kids, they are going to fully understand the level of crazy, and they're just going to not know what to do with it all. It's great. It would make a good film, though. Last question before we go is, I need songs for the Spotify playlist. So can you each give me a song, a feel-good song?
A feel-good song.
First thing that comes to your mind when you just want to feel better, what do you put on?
At the moment, what I'm feeling.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know why. Okay, yeah, okay.
That will change by this afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's the one.
But
That's the one that came out.
That's the one for right now.
Okay. What about you?
Cloudbusting.
Oh,
Kate Bush.
yes. See, Craig loves that, doesn't he?
Kate Bush tribute who's
Cloudbusting.
headlining TribeFest.
Oh, yeah.
Did you
Kate
like
Bush
that
tribute.
segue?
Yeah,
Well
well done. Well done. Marketing
I've had
and
not a
finest.
day of media training.
Oh,
You'd
really?
never know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
The official ultimate Kate Bush tribute to TribeFest.
Cloudbusting is a win. That's not on there. Neither of those songs are on there, so they're going on today. Right, now I am going to sign off, and thank you so much, girls, and I will see you in 2 minutes around the campfire for the rest of our day.
We're going to go around that way.
Yeah, thanks.